Natter. I'm Mark Steele, and across the table from me should be Jenny Steele, but unfortunately she is again called away onto a super duper super secret mission. I'm not even supposed to know she's on the mission, never mind the fact that there's a mission going on, all those details. I've learned too much. The problem is I could get into real trouble for that, and I'm joining you on a day where nothing important is happening. Although I've got this niggling feeling that I've forgotten something. Hold on. Let's see if I can remember what it is. No. Donald Trump got a new ear piercing. I can't recommend the technique and the way he got it, but no, it's not that. No, I've remembered to pay the car tax. It's not that either. Any ideas? No. Oh, of course, England versus Spain in the Euros final. It kicks off at 8 o'clock, and when that does happen, dear listener, we'll keep an eye on the scores, but we'll still have a fantastic soundtrack to go along with it. And you're probably expecting, as a Scotsman, that I'd be all... Especially as if you're watching the radio. I know it's crazy stuff. You're on mixcloud.com/live/A Wee Natter. You can watch me, you can see me, got bleed in my wee Jimmy hat. But no, I'm going to wish England well and keeping the positive vibes going as we take a look into the postbag which has arrived. And last week we were asking about, is there anything that you thought was a good idea and you really, really wanted one of those and then never bought, and I'm kind of glad you didn't. A few of you have been in touch, including Sam Killip, saying the only thing I could think of is one of those giant teddies or anything from the fairs that come into town around September time. They seem like a great fun idea at the time, but then you've gone and got something that you may not have a use for and are stuck with. And what was the thing? Admittedly, they don't do it nowadays, but what was that thing for a long time where you got a goldfish or like an actual live animal at the fair? What are you supposed to do with it? You've now got to look after it for the rest of its life. That's not a fun prize. That's a commitment. That's a whole bunch of effort and work. Also in touch, Hank saying, in the 80s, I was thinking of buying a car, but after some weeks I got this job around the corner, so I was glad I didn't buy the car. It was going to be a second one because my wife needed her car every day. I worked in my job for nearly 10 years. I got my job on the 7th of May and had a sales appointment on the 8th. And I'll tell you, Hank, if you had bought that car, you would have driven that 100 yards every single day just to make it feel worthwhile, wouldn't you? And finally, I got Louise Malensine saying an electric bike, which if it's anything like the normal push bike that I've got, and Jenny has as well, dear listener, it is sitting in the garage and has been for a long time, and I think it's mostly made of rust by now. I think even the little bits of oil that are left have disappeared, and it's entirely rust, and we should maybe get rid of them at some point. But... keeping the sort of positive vibes going, Cheryl has been in touch and asked very nicely for a song for her mum. So, because you did ask so nicely, it's Tina Turner and the best on A Wee Natter from Bo Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2. As chosen by Cheryl for her mum, Tina Turner, the best. It's A Wee Natter on Bo Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2. And a little weird thing that we allow you to do, dear listener, is watch the radio. Yeah, I get confused by it as well, but mixcloud.com/live/A Wee Natter. And there's a little bit of a chat going on there, including Sandra Owens saying, like the hat, and Pond Life 21 saying, you look adorable. I am genuinely wearing my wee Jimmy hat, as acquired from Amazon many, many moons ago. But, you know, it sends the message that I'm very much not an Englishman, but I'm joining in this celebration should England happen to do well in the football. Also had Vicky Fairweather in touch saying, hello from Shetland, where it is 12 degrees, windy and a tiny bit drizzly, and absolutely spectacular and very beautiful listening with my mum. Glad to hear that. I'm glad to see, that's one of these things, right, where you can go somewhere that's cold, windy and all that, and if it looks beautiful, that's fine. If it looks like an industrial estate, like it does out my window, it doesn't really make up for it, but I like where you're coming from. And I don't want you to get worried and start interpreting this as a sign of distress. You know, a bit like if you've got the Union Jack and you fly it upside down, it's supposed to be a sign of distress. I don't want you to see it like this, but I want to touch on something slightly serious I heard about this week. It was so outrageous, it got me shouting at the newspaper like an angry man. I'm turning into an angry old man, haven't I? It's just life. It's just what happens. It's what occurs. But it turns out the boss of one of the water boards got an almost 200 grand bonus. At the same time, they're asking to rate absolutely hike the water rates at the same time. Now, I'm sorry, but if I guffed my job up that badly, I'd get a free P45. I don't know about you, but I get a P45 delivered directly to me if I did something like that. So I want to make that our phone-in topic today, right? You've got a boss that's getting rewarded for failure. I want you to tell me about your stories where you've seen somebody getting rewarded for failure. It doesn't have to be a big political or news story or anything like that. It could be the hotel that got extra money out of me for charging for breakfast that I'd already paid for. That is rewarding failure. They got paid extra money for screwing up. To be fair, with that hotel, they also got in touch with a survey recommending I scored them at least 9 out of 10 on a public review. When did we decide 9 out of 10 was the score we're giving for, just turning up and doing the minimum? But that's rant for another day. I'm going to ask you, dear listener, have you ever seen somebody rewarded for failure? Tell me the story. I want to hear it. I want to share it with the other listeners that we've got here, dear listener. I'm going to open up to you. Give me a call, 01623 888 730. You can text 073 79 78 49 00, or you can email requests at bowradio.co.uk and tell us about those stories where it was a complete and utter failure, but somebody got rewarded for it. It's one of the phrases I catch myself saying all the time, especially at work. Oops, I did it again. It's Britney Spears, and before that, Mr. has some broken wings. It's A Wee Natter from Bow Radio and Fashion Town Radio Now, where we have a breaking news thing from the news desk.
Bow Radio with news on the hour and local news from our news correspondents in and around Sherwood.
When I break the news that there was great excitement in Somerset yesterday, as Sandra Owens, our reporter down there, was telling us, there was a cow in the river. A cow in the river. Even in Somerset, police asked people to stop dialing 999 as it was too dangerous to rescue the cow. In the end, the farmer showed up with a bucket of feed, shook it, and the cow walked towards it. The fire brigade took the credit for having resolved a technically complex operation. It's amazing how farm animals have such an impact on a day, aren't they? The really annoying one is cows on the track. That one happens way too often. It always seems to be when I'm going to London. I don't get it.
Covers versus originals.
Yes, I've got a super duper important decision for you to make, dear listener. In covers versus originals, where we take one song, we take the original version, we take the cover version of it, and you choose which one's going to be playing on this fine radio station at about 7:30. And your options today all revolve around the song Where the Streets Have No Name. Do you want the original from U2, or do you want the cover, admittedly mixed in with another song, from the Pet Shop Boys? The decision is absolutely yours. You are voting on it. Let us know which song you prefer to hear on the phone, 01623 888 730. You can text 073 79 78 49 00. You can email requests at bowradio.co.uk, and you can also get very high tech as well and get onto mixcloud.com/live/A Wee Natter and tell us which version of that fine song that you want to hear. It's one of those songs that's going to be stuck in your head, and you'll be just boring around doing your normal Monday afternoon thing, and you'll just go, Kiri! It's A Wee Natter on Bow Radio and Fashion Town Radio 2, and I am not in any way, shape or form going to apologise for sticking that earworm in your logo.
Covers versus originals.
Indeed, it's a big old fight where today you are choosing which version of The Streets Have No Name will be playing on this fine radio show in just a few moments' time. We've had votes heading towards U2, with some politeness as well. Pond Life 21 saying, U2 please. But going in the other direction, we've also had the likes of Vicky Fairweather in touch saying, Pet Shop Boys please, as you hear it less often. I don't know about that one. I've heard both on the wireless before, and they're both cracking songs, but which one plays is down to you. There's still enough time for you to change the vote. Get in touch in all the various ways, and we'll find out exactly which one we'll be playing after a bit of Shania Twain.
Cool. Don't be stupid.
Oh, who isn't a sucker for a bit of country crossover? Shania Twain and Don't Be Stupid.
Bow Radio would like to thank all our sponsors. We couldn't be here without you.
Indeed, we have to give special thanks to the Lions, Property Drain Check Mansfield, Alderton and Booton Town Council, Arnold Clark Cars, Edwinstowe Parish Council, Essential Site Skills Limited, Notts County Council, Walesby Parish Council, Worksop Freemasons, ABIB Motors Tuxford, and Sherwood Grange Care Centre.
Covers versus originals.
You'd think, having said those things out loud a number of times, I'd be well practised by now. But I trip over saying my own name half the time, dear listener. But anyway, in covers versus originals, you were choosing between Where the Streets Had No Name by U2 and the Pet Shop Boys, and a bunch of you being in touch. I've got to say thank you to Jenny, who should normally be with us, but is on a super secret mission. We've even had Cheryl in touch as well, Pond Life 21, Sandra Owens, Vicky Fairweather, and Anne L76. It came down to it was a very close vote, and you decided on the Pet Shop Boys version of Where the Streets Have No Name, as chosen by you. There's something funny about hearing just Everybody in Love. It takes me back a good number of years, dear listener, to roughly when this sort of song was on the wireless and it just sort of come out. And the reason being was effectively everyone in that room was fired by JLS. No, not directly. It wasn't JLS were coming in and going, oh, yeah, we're here to fire you. What it was there was a change in the way this company is operating. They were going to do this new product that meant a whole bunch of people in that room no longer had a job anymore. It's not great, not fun to be in, especially when you're like my good self and you were on probation at the time, so you're very much lined up to go out the door. But we got shown a video. There was all these pop stars getting very excited about this brand new product that was going to be launching, and GLS was among them. Basically getting very excited, telling us we're going to be losing our job. Apparently, we weren't supposed to see that video. It's supposed to go out to customers, but it's still a bit gut-wrenching that the likes of pop bands would know before you know ever your own job's at risk. But anyway, I saw something properly old-fashioned the other day and got wondering, why is it still a thing? Any ideas what I could be talking about? I am, of course, talking about swearing in all the new members of Parliament into Parliament. Did you see any clips from it? You know, you have to get up, you have to stand up and pledge your allegiance to King Chucky. Admittedly, the national anthem isn't playing while you're doing it, but you pledge your allegiance and usually do it on some sort of religious text, which, given that most of Great Britain is non-religious nowadays, I was surprised there wasn't anyone swearing on Blackadder DVDs or a Cornish pasty. Although with the latter, you've also got a tasty snack to get you through the hours of watching everyone else doing their swearing in. Although, is it just me, or every time I see something like that from the House of the Parliament, do you just think, why haven't they turned it into a museum yet? You know, it would pay for a modern new Parliament in no time. You know, charge people a tenner to see some waxworks that don't quite look like Thatcher or Boris or Blair, or even, you know, you have a thing where you got the opportunity to sit on the Speaker's throne and yell, order, order. Who wouldn't pay a fiver to do that and get their photo on the way out as well? That's how we're going to pay for a more modern Parliament. That's how we're going to do it, dear listener. In case you're wondering, we are still obliged by radio regulation to have a massive lever to start and stop that song. Backman Turner Overdrive, you ain't seen nothing yet. And in just a second, I will be bringing you some very big news from where they happen to have caught up with us in the very normal thing to do in life department. I'll tell you what it's all about after Paramore. You can't tell me I don't treat you and play you songs you don't hear on the wireless very often. There you go, from Paramore, Still Into You. It's A Wee Natter from Bow Radio, Fatcham Town Radio 2. I'm Mark Steele, thank you for joining me this evening. And I join you on a day where there is very big news from New York, which is in Murakaland. And they've just launched a new revolution in the collection of rubbish. What do you think that revolution could be? Yeah, that's got you thinking, hasn't it? Yeah, that's not something we normally touch on, isn't it? The big revolution that they have come up with is wheelie bins. Whoa, mind-blowing. And I'm genuinely not making it up. That's the surprising bit about this. We've had them for, several, 3, 4 decades? God knows how long we've had them nowadays. There's even a website here in the UK where you can look at different designs and colours of wheelie bins from every different council. But as everything in America, it was done with a big announcement. What music do you think they were playing as they wheeled the bin out for the press to show we've got wheelie bins now? Yeah, they went with Empire State of Mind. I was sitting there thinking, well, if you're going to be so far behind the times, you could at least have gone with something like My Old Man's a Dustman. At least then it would have fitted in with the whole wheelie bin theme as well. A bit more of that country crossover stuff. Faith Hill, This Kiss. And before that, Boston were having More Than a Feeling. It's A Wee Natter from Bo Radio, Fashion Town Radio 2. Thanks for joining me this fine Sunday evening, where there may be something else going on in the background. And our intrepid reporter, Sandra Owens, has informed us that the teams are coming out in England versus Spain, which is, of course, the finals of the European... I was about to say European Cup, it's not. It's the Euros. I at least get that right. I'm not a sports person, but I'll at least get that right. And the extra little tidbit of information she's given us is that Spain looked the most nervous. Will that mean anything? There's only one way to find out. And I'll be keeping a tab on the football throughout the show. But in the meantime, we'll go on Mission Musical Freedom after this one from the Cardigans. It's a Ray's Rewind. One of the more underrated Kate Bush songs, Cloud Busting, and before that, the Cardigans, A Ray's Wind. It's A Wee Natter from Bo Radio and Fashion Town Radio 2. I'm Mark Steele. Thank you for joining me this evening. And, well, there's a couple of things going on. One of them is the football, where our intrepid reporter has informed us that William and George are there at the match. Probably there to support the likes of Beckham and Rooney that hopefully managed to take it home for England. And also, on a slightly different topic, we were asking the question about being rewarded for failure. And Vicky Ferber has been in touch saying being charged up to £10 per day, wow, that's a lot of money, on a cruise for Wi-Fi, which very rarely works, when most hotels provide free Wi-Fi now. It's astonishing cruise companies have the audacity to charge for a service that when you've paid for it hardly ever works. And you've just that mention of Wi-Fi on the likes of boats and airplanes and things like that, they never work because they're satellite internet. That's how they work. That's the technology behind them. And I'm reminded many, many years ago being out at 6 o'clock in the morning in some random suburb trying to line up a satellite dish to make the technology work for some broadcast thing at God knows what o'clock in the morning. Yeah, you had to get it spot on or it didn't work. And also, you had to not get in front of it, or it could turn into a pigeon cooker. There was a lot of power involved in that thing. So I'm not surprised when it's on a boat that's bobbing up and down, it never works. Although it is quite cheeky to charge for it in that case.
Mission Musical Freedom.
And with that effect that we've got going on there, it sounds like we're doing it in association with the devil or something like that. But no, Mission Musical Freedom, we're taking you behind the curtain of how radio's made, dear listener, and letting you know that there are restrictions on the songs we're allowed to play. The bosses have gone, you're not allowed to play this selection of songs. And if we want to play something else, well, there is a giant library that's got all sorts of stuff in it, hidden away, other side of the site. We have to sneak that music past the boss. And to get there, we have built a super secret underground tunnel. And it's so secret that the tunnel is hidden behind a photo of our radio heroes, Smashy and Nicey. It's a bit like the Queen. Every radio station has a picture of them on the wall somewhere. So we've picked one of those, and behind that we've dug a tunnel underneath the bungalow and out into the music library so we can sneak records in and we can play them for you, dear listener. And this week, it's a suggestion for your good self that we've managed to sneak across the border past the bosses. Jenny Burton, Bad Habits. I can't tell you much about it other than it came out in 1985 and has been covered, but the cover's even less well known. But you wanted it, we dug it out the archives, and we're going to play it for you on A Wee Natter from Bo Radio and Fashion Town Radio 2. It's amazing how songs can take you back to a moment in your life, and that one is taking me back to being in the Air Cadets and movie night, which for some reason we always went for that Tom Cruise movie, Top Gun. You'd have thought we'd go for Dam Busters or something like that, but no, it was almost always Top Gun was going to be the movie of the night. It's chosen by Hank, saying thank you for playing the record, and he's also tipped €5 to A Wee Natter, saying we put our money on you for England tonight. Yes, we are all hoping it goes the right direction for England tonight. And also, dropping the line is Sandra Owens tipping £10 to A Wee Natter, saying you deserve a drink, Mark. I will go and get myself a drink. I am teed up already with gallons of, well, if I say gallons of Coke, you'll start thinking of drug. I'm talking about the juice. that keeps me watered at the moment. So it's going to pay for a lot of that, Sandra, which will keep us entertaining you this fine evening on A Wee Natter. And I suppose we better get into the usual stuff.
The Super Shonky Sunday Quiz.
A Wee Natter with Jenny and Mark Steele on Bow Radio.
Now, I don't want to make out like we're bent or we're cheating or anything like that, but if you were listening last week, you might have a slight clue as to what the answer is for this week's quiz. I'm just putting it out there. You might already know what the answer is, but I've got the question that you've got to figure out tonight in the Super Shonky Sunday Quiz. The quiz that is so top quality, it has one question and no prizes, other than, I suppose, it's the joy of knowing that you got the answer right, that nice, warm, fuzzy feeling. Anyway, this evening's question, which rodent lives in a dray? And that's not to be confused with Dr. Dre's crib. But which rodent lives in a dray? If you think you know, why not drop me a line, 01623 888 You can text 073 7978 4900, or you can email requests at bowradio.co.uk. Or, if you want to be very high-tech, you can go onto mixcloud.com/live/A-Wee-Natter, join in the live chat there, and maybe not cheat by looking at the answer before you put it in, but you can pop your answer in there, and we'll see which of you get the correct answer after this one from Skunk and Nancy. Yeah, another one you don't hear too often. It's Hedonism on A Wee Natter from Bow Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2. Just because we're enjoying Skunk and Nancy and also doing the Super Shonky Sunday Quiz doesn't mean we're not keeping an eye on the football, which is currently 0-0 at the moment. 23 minutes in at the Olympiastadion Berlin. Yeah, I don't speak a lick of German, so I have no idea if that's correct at all. But the important bit is nobody's scored yet.
The Super Shonky Sunday Quiz.
A Wee Natter with Jenny and Mark Steele on Bow Radio.
Where we're asking a really tough question, which rodent lives in a dray? And again, not to be confused with Dr. Dre's crib, but which rodent lives in a dray? If you think you know the answer, do get in touch. And a couple of you have been already, including Cheryl with the correct answer. Also, Vicky Fairweather with the correct answer. Hank with, Sandra Owens with the correct answer as well. But however, we do have one incorrect answer from Dandelion, which is a ratty rat. I like the idea what you're thinking there, but it is a rodent. But which rodent is it? So it lives in a dray. If you think you know, do get in the touch. I'll be sharing the answer after this one from Edwin Starr.
Happy Radio.
He could have been describing this fine radio show, but he'd have been talking about something else happened decades later and have had to have discovered time travel. But still, a cracking wee song from Edwin Starr, Happy Radio. It's A Wee Natter on Bow Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2.
Bow Radio would like to thank all our sponsors. We couldn't be here without you.
Indeed, I have to give special thanks to the Lions, Property Drain Check Mansfield, Ollerton and Booton Town Council, Arnold Clark Cars, Edmundston Parish Council, Essential Site Skills Limited, Notts County Council, Walesby Parish Council, Workshop Freemasons, ABIB Motors Tuxford, and Sherwood Grange Care Centre as well.
The Super Shonky Sunday Quiz.
A Wee Natter with Jenny and Mark Steele on Bow Radio.
Where we're asking the super difficult question, which rodent lives in a dray? And another one of you has come up with the correct answer. Pond Life 21 with, it was a squirrel. And the only thing I'm going to say, dear listener, is, do you know how hard it is to find a question where the answer is squirrel? You know, the liver has to put into this fine radio show that so we can all cheat on this quiz. It's ridiculous. You'd never believe it if I told you.
You and I.
Nena 99 red balloons, and as Hank points out in Holland, this song was a hit in the German language, not the English one. In fact, if I remember correctly, that was across the whole of Europe, and even the Americans got 99 Luftballons, or whatever it was. I'll get Google Translate lady to pronounce it for me, because I don't speak a lick of German.
99 Luftballons.
Yeah, 99 balloons. So, Wee Natter on Bow Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2. And also, Dandelion has been back in touch off the back of the Super Shonky Sunday Quiz to tell me that I made a mistake. They said, I thought you said, what rodent lives down a drain, not a dray? Yeah, I will blame that on my accent. That's what we'll go with there. And on a slightly different note, things have got a bit dicey, a bit unpredictable in some people's lives recently. We'll dig into that one, and we'll keep an eye on the football as well. After this, from Coolio, see you when you get there. It's A Wee Natter on Bo Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2. Wasn't Coolio the one that attempted a stage dive a few years back and the crowd just went, nope, zoop, and he went straight to the floor? Not that I like to see people get hurt, but it just sticks in my head, that one. And keeping an eye on the football, apparently a yellow card has been issued to Danny Olmo, who does make contact with Declan Rice's chest. To get a yellow card that early in the game. That's just getting a bit rough out there, and it was no accident either, according to our intrepid reporter on the ground. But on a slightly different note, one of the things about when we have a general election here, dear listener, is that a whole bunch of politicians end up out of a job. It's just one of the risks. But what do they go on to do next? And do you particularly worry about it or care about it? 'Cause I don't. But the reason I ask is because in Germany, where this football thing is going on at the moment, there is a TV series where Angela Merkel solves crimes. A bit like a European version of Miss Marple or something like that, I guess. It's not played by actually Angela, the actual Angela Merkel, but it did get me wondering if we could do something like similar here, like sleuthing with Sunak or Moggy Murders or something like that. I mean, it would make a change from the usual I'm a Celebrity or train documentaries that ex-politicians seem to get into. And on that note, has anyone got the number for ITV so I can go pitch these? Might as well give it a shot, eh? Claiming it's a Blue Monday on A Wee Natter from Bo Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2. I'm Mark Steele. Thank you for joining me this fine Sunday evening. Hope you're doing alright. And Vicky Fairweather has been in touch on the topic we're chatting about just a moment ago about, the TV shows that politicians that have lost out could be doing to cover the fact they no longer have that income. And she's been in touch saying 101 easy lettuce recipes with Liz Truss. I'd be impressed if she could get to 10, never mind 101. That's a lot of lettuce recipes. Although it has got me suddenly thinking about, excellent pub tours with John Prescott. That'd be quite the TV show, wouldn't it?
Hello, you fool.
See, bands shouting out their own names isn't a new thing. I mean, you've got Roxette there shouting out Roxette before Mr. Worldwide did it for every single song he's released. It's a joyride on A Wee Natter from Bo Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2, where we are keeping a very close eye on the football, where we are currently about half time. Well, I know there's injury time going on in a minute, but with 45 minutes plus a little bit of injury time at the moment, the score is still 0-0. There is no change. But if anything does change, we will inform you. I will keep you up to date, dear listener. But one of the side effects of this whole football thing that's going on is I'm a manager nowadays. It's the sort of business I work in, in technology, but in manglement. And I'm expecting that there'll be one or two people who'll be phoning me up tomorrow morning with a very rough head, very sore throat, all that kind of stuff, saying, sorry, I can't make it into work tomorrow. They might be genuinely ill, but I suspect there may be one or two in there who are been enjoying the football a bit too much. But it does raise that question of if there's such a big event like this, where it is the football, and it turns out the right way. Let's hope it turns out the right way. Let's hope that England come out as victors. And let's imagine you go down as properly, genuinely ill tomorrow. Do you think your boss would genuinely believe it? I mean, I probably would, but I'm gullible. I'm quite honest with that, But, yeah, if I had to ring my boss up saying I was ill, I don't think he would believe me. Yeah, I'd get into proper trouble. It's the Four Tops singing a Phil Collins song, Loco and Acapulco. And before that, George Harrison, Got My Mind Set on You. It's A Wee Natter from Bo Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2. We're in touching on the point that if you are genuinely ill tomorrow, you might not be believed because there's a certain football match that's going on right this second. And Vicky Fairweather's been in touch to say, you've got plenty of alibis tonight, Mark. And of course, Henky there is saying as well, if you take your glasses off, the score might change to 1-0. I have taken my glasses off, and unfortunately, the score did not change it. It's all gone. It still hasn't changed. From 0-0, we're at half-time. Unfortunately, I'm not going to give any more update because I am running out of time. They only let me on the radio for so long, dear listener. But if you stick around with Bo Radio and you join us Monday afternoon, Monday evening, from 4 o'clock we've got Malk, and then from 7 we've got Paul Redfern as well, and they'll be doing all sorts of weird, wonderful, fun and games for you. But in the meantime, I'm going to leave you with what could only be described as, well, a song. I don't know if you could call it a classic. It's been out a while, but I would call it a classic, but some people would say I'm probably over-egging it a bit. It's the Goo Goo Dolls and Iris. Have a good one. I'll catch you next week.